My name is Laura. My husband is recording this video, so you will not see him, but you will hear his voice. I have read in different places individuals suggesting that one use psychedelics, as they call them, in order to communicate with the spiritual realm or have an out-of-body experience, just different things in regard to the spiritual realm. And they discuss things like using some kind of magic mushrooms, to smoking herbs, to actually taking hardcore drugs. And the questions that I've seen come up from those type of conversations are, how does that really affect you? Do they truly help you to reach a point where you can speak with people in the spirit world? And how does it physically affect the body? Don't you get addicted to it? Does it harm you? All these questions come up. So I was telling my husband about this, and he said, let's talk about it. Let's record it and get it out there, and here we are.
Well, Bob Marley smoked marijuana.
The ganja,
exactly.
the weed.
And he talked about, what was his name? Haile Selassie was his god. He was an African leader at the time. So I don't know if that was good or bad.
I don't know. I mean, we have a video about drugs, alcohol, and tobacco and how those affect you on the spiritual level. So when I read about people using these so-called psychedelics to try and get to a different dimension or different level where they can communicate on the spiritual realm, I start to wonder, well, is that really helping you? Wouldn't that be lowering your frequency?
Well, I've read in different books about some herbs that people do smoke or inhale, and they say that they claim that they can communicate with like their past loved ones, and they probably saw angels, they probably even saw ascended masters from what they've said.
Well, there's a whole practice right now, I believe it's called, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, ayahuasca.
That's the one.
Where you take some kind of...
That's been around for years.
Yes, but it's really popular now.
Okay.
And individuals that I've seen who've written things about it have written, it's not just these herbal plants and things, it's actual like cocaine and other drugs that they've used in these ceremonies.
Well, from what I've been told and from what I've heard, using cocaine takes you to a different dimension.
LSD, from what I studied in school, those do take you on a real trip, as they say.
Cocaine is LSD? What's LSD?
No, LSD is a different drug.
That sounds like Lakeshore Drive to me.
I know, that's what I thought it was when I was a kid, and someone's like, no, LSD is a drug, and they gave me the name. I'm like, oh.
Okay, so all those drugs will take you somewhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, not trying to be funny about it, but it will take you somewhere. So, and when you're in that state, when people get drunk, they say strange things.
Yes.
And they have different experiences. Who knows if their experiences are real? I don't know. I don't know enough, and I won't go and experiment with that to find out. Only because all I can say about that is, from what I know and from my experience, you can connect with God, you can connect with the angels, you can connect with the ascended masters without any stimulants. That's what I would call them.
Well, people say it's easier to use the stimulants.
All I'm saying is, I'm not disagreeing with them. All I know is that it's also easy to connect with the angels and God and the ascended masters without using any stimulants.
Right.
Next thing I know is that I know Saint Germain has told me this, the ascended masters have told me this, that when you use any type of drug or anything, any substance, that impairs your capabilities of you being at 100% aware of who you are.
Conscious, you mean? Consciously aware of
who you are,
what's going on?
Then
okay.
That's not a good idea, because you're allowing yourself to be influenced by entities, unwelcomed entities and beings. So that's been told to me by the same master, so that's what I go by.
Okay.
I'm not saying that the other things don't work. I wouldn't know. I've read about them, and I've read at least a couple of books about people using that one whatever it's called.
Ayahuasca, I think it is. Mhm.
You can tell how interested I was about that. I didn't even know the name. It was just, I just found it fascinating that people actually went through all that trouble, because I remember reading about it, and then people feel bad afterwards. It's like you have a hangover. And, you know, people get sick, they throw up, but then they want the experience of, I guess, thinking they're with the angels, or that they're closer with the angels or the ascended masters. There are easier ways to do it. Because it would be like wanting to make a phone call, right? There are different ways you can do it. There's still payphones around the country.
Right.
So you can go and get some quarters or whatever they take and make a phone call that way. Compared to using a cell phone, I think the cell phone is easier, right? You can also go to somebody's home and they might have a landline, and they could have the rotary phone, or they could have the push button phone. You're still making a phone call, but which one is more efficient?
And then you have things like Skype or Zoom,
Exactly.
where you can, FaceTime, where you can
Right.
actually see someone face to face when you talk to them.
So when you're done, which one is more efficient? You know, it depends on what you want. If you want to see the person and you want to be able to feel closer to the individual, of course you want something like FaceTime or Skype, because you can see them, you're interacting with the individual.
But you have to make sure you have the right connection.
That's true. It's a very good point, right? Very good
I
point.
mean, because some of these landlines, I mean, they're not always reliable. Neither are the internet ones sometimes. So
It goes back to the same thing we're talking about. So depending on the type of stimulant they're using, you might have these side effects.
interference.
I don't know, right?
Different influencers.
Exactly. I don't know. If someone were to ask my opinion, and in this case it is an opinion, based on what the ascended masters have taught me, so I'd say it's an educated or informed opinion.
Okay.
I would suggest to anyone that they learn how to get in tune or get in touch with the ascended masters or the spiritual realm without stimulants. Because then you know that what you're receiving is accurate. You don't have to question it. Yeah, because you are in charge of your faculties 100%. There's nothing impairing your judgment, impairing your faculties at all. And that's the most important thing. The ascended masters always tell us, they stress this, that you should never lose control of your faculties. You should never put yourself in that situation. And that's why they always remind us we should not get involved with drugs or alcohol or cigarettes, what we call it.
Any kind of a stimulant.
Because those stimulants carry entities that can affect us and affect our judgment, you know, affect our reception. That's why we've told individuals that we'll get to the point, and we've already started with some individuals already, where we start to teach them how to get to the alpha state, right? It's not difficult to do. But we've started teaching individuals how to do that, because that's all they're doing. Those stimulants, all they do is take you to the alpha state.
Oh.
That's all
Okay.
it is. So, you know, so imagine getting drunk or whatever it is to get there. Why do you have to go through all that? Because you don't understand what it is. And people out there make it seem, or the so-called gurus make it seem like it's something so difficult to do.
Right, and that it's so magical.
Exactly.
And only a few can do it, and if only a few can guide you through this.
That's correct. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. You know, it's like politicians, right? If you listen to them, oh, but if you vote for this one, then the world's going to come to an end. If you vote for that one, the world's going to come to an end. So I don't want to vote for the world's going to end anyway. You know, because both sides are saying the exact same thing. You know that, right?
Right, I understand that.
And that's the way it goes here. It's as if though some people are so special that they're the only ones that can get there, and they're the only ones that can tell you how to get there. And when they tell you how to get there, and then if they're not telling you how to get there, then you have to use these special drugs or stimulants to get there. And then the question is, are you destroying yourself physically? If you're using things like cocaine, I would think so, from what I've read about cocaine and what I've heard about cocaine. This other one, the one you talked about, the herb, I've read about that and the side effects it has on the people. The people actually were interviewed about it. And it has some really bad side effects, but they don't care because they feel that they've reached that higher level. Now, here's the other thing. Every time you want to reach there, you have to do it again. It's not as if though you get there once and they can get there again easily. No, you have to go back and use it again.
Right.
Right? So you're right. Do you become dependent on it? Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I've never tried
Yes,
it.
it's possible. I mean, look at the people who use the marijuana for it. You know, they feel that they have to constantly
Is
be
that
using
addictive?
it then.
The
Marijuana? Yes, marijuana is addictive.
How do you know that?
Because I was taught that in school, and
That just because they teach you at school doesn't mean it's accurate. I don't know if marijuana is addictive. No, I don't know.
that from everything that I've heard and read, even after school, it's an addictive substance.
Oh, okay.
Because
I
the
don't
way
know.
it makes you feel, you want to keep that feeling going.
Well, then decreeing is addictive because you get that feeling you want to stay there too.
Yeah, but I think decreeing is a whole lot better than allowing yourself, your faculties to be altered by something like a
Okay.
stimulant.
Well, that's different, right? About altering the state of the stimulant, right? Okay, that's different. You know what I say? The point is that people will always, just like they say, if you drink water, you get cancer.
Yes.
Right.
Depends on where you get the water from.
No, some people tell you.
I'm messing with you.
Oh, okay, right? People exaggerate things, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not saying you should go and smoke marijuana. I'm just saying that depending on who the person is, if they're against it, they'll make it seem like it's terrible.
Right.
All I'm saying is I don't want to be in that situation because I've never used it, so I don't know what it does. I don't know how it does it. So I will not put myself in that situation, make it seem as though I'm some type of expert when I don't know what it does. Now I've read about what it does, but I'm not about to go and try it to find out if it does that because it's not important to me. All I know is that I can communicate with the ascended masters, I can communicate with the angels, and I can do so by getting to a certain level. And we can get to that level very easily without stimulants. And when you want to do it, as you know by now, after a while we actually teach you a shortcut. So in the beginning it might take you half an hour to get there, maybe an hour, right? But the more you practice, after a while you can get to that level in what, 2-3 minutes or less.
Right.
Well, you can't do that with the drugs, or maybe you can. Let me not say that. I don't know. Right?
I don't know. I don't have an experience with
Right.
that.
So the point is that doing it naturally, to me, is more effective because after a while you learn to do it faster and more efficiently, and you're still in control of your faculties. So yes, the other things probably do help. From what I've read, you know, they do help. You know, I only read about the one substance, the herb. That's what I read about. And it sounded to me as if though the people did have experiences because they described the experiences. But I can have those same experiences just by going to the alpha state, which is where they're going. Literally, it's the same place they're going. Okay, it's the exact same place they're going. They just take a different route.
Okay.
Right? They take the roller coaster. So, if you love roller coasters, you can take that route. I guess I take the one with the least ups and downs. Because it doesn't go up and down.
You take the lazy river ride.
There we go. Exactly.
You just go with the
Right.
flow.
Just relax. Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if that helps with anything that you were bringing up.
Right. Well, I was just bringing up. You know, is that something? This is something that I've heard about, these psychedelics, and do they really work? And you know, are they beneficial for you on a spiritual level or non-beneficial? So I think we've covered all that, though.
Based on the teachings, nothing that impairs your faculties is beneficial to you, whether it's short-term or long-term. It just isn't. Does it work? From what I've read, it seems to help individuals get to that stage where they feel like they're communicating with the other side. From all the documentation that I've read, it seems to do that. Is that the only way? Do you have to do that? No. Because as you know, we experienced something similar without any stimulants, the only stimulant you might want is water if you're thirsty. So drink some and then you get to focus and meditate until you get to that point. where you can communicate with the other side, as in a different dimension. So, for people out there, I believe, or from what I've seen, so many people are now growing spiritually. They want to develop themselves spiritually. And like with anything else, the moment there are a lot of individuals that want to do it, then there are individuals out there that have different methods of accomplishing it. You just have to be aware of the different approaches that are out there and see which one works for you. I'm not going to say that taking the stimulants doesn't work. It might work for other people, and then for them, that's their preference. All I'm saying is that for us, because of our connection with the Ascended Masters, we go the route where we keep our faculties 100%, we're in control of those 100% when we go to center ourselves or go to the alpha level. And that's our preference. And if anybody wants to learn how to do that, we will teach them how to do it for free.
Okay. If you think this video was helpful to you, or you find it might be something that could be helpful for someone else, please feel free to share. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, and then find us at 190vision.com, also 190vision on Facebook and Instagram.